So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. For those who don't know, I'm Dawn Penich. I'm the Communications Director for Arizona for Abortion Access. As you know, the Arizona Legislative Council met this past Monday, July 8th, to approve publicity pamphlet summaries of the measures that may appear on the ballot in November. The staff draft of the summary for the Arizona Abortion Access Act used the term, quote, unborn human being when describing existing Arizona law regarding abortion, but also used fetus when describing the effect that our initiative would have. Our attorney appeared at the session in order to urge Legislative Council to change the term unborn human being to fetus, to not only be consistent, but to use a neutral, objective, and medically accurate term instead of a phrase that is a watchword of anti-abortion advocates. In a rather sad display that I hope many of you got to watch, Legislative Council rejected our simple request, with Legislative Council Chair going so far as to admit that he, quote, doesn't care what the medically accurate term is. 1 hour ago, we filed our complaint and preliminary injunction. So right now, you will hear from Cheryl Bruce, Arizona for Abortion Access Campaign Manager. She'll be followed by Dr. Candice Liu, our campaign chairperson and an OBGYN of 40 years. Then we'll have our legal counsel, Andy Gaona of Coppersmith Brockelman, available to answer your questions on the record. Take it away, Cheryl. As soon as I unmute you.
Thank you, Dawn, and thank you to everyone for being here. Good afternoon. Last week, more than 823,000 Arizonans, 1 in 5 Arizona voters, made their voices heard when we submitted our petitions to qualify for the ballot. But Arizonans' rights to access abortion care is under continuous assault from extremist politicians, even in the wake of submitting this record number of signatures. The very same legislators who instituted the extreme abortion ban currently in place, a ban that has no exceptions for rape or incest, are now trying to put their thumbs on the electoral scale in an effort to confuse voters, and not for the first time. We've seen these politicians and opposition leaders make repeated, baseless accusations about what this measure does to fearmonger and scare voters. One such ludicrous claim they continue to make is that our measure will allow veterinarians to perform abortions. Though at Monday's legislative hearing, it was clear it's the anti-abortion politicians themselves who are more concerned with horse medicine than women's health. Enough is enough. Abortion access is an issue that the majority of Arizonans support. That's why families, friends, and neighbors in every corner of the state volunteered in the thousands to collect a record number of signatures. Extreme anti-abortion politicians who are, by their own admission, not doctors and don't care about medically accurate terms, have no place making healthcare decisions, including decisions about pregnancy and abortion. The Arizona for Abortion Access campaign seeks to take these decisions out of those politicians' hands once and for all. This fall, when voters seek information about what is on their ballots, that information by law should be accurate and not tinged with inflammatory political rhetoric. And that's why we filed this lawsuit today, to hold politicians to account and ensure that Arizona voters receive an impartial summary of our measure in the publicity pamphlet, instead of one that uses a politically charged phrase embraced by our opponents. Voters overwhelmingly agree that decisions about pregnancy and abortion belong solely with the patient and their doctor, not politicians. We're grateful for the opportunity to seek a better outcome for Arizona voters who deserve fair and impartial information about their choices this November. It's time to get extreme politicians out of our doctors' offices and out of our ballot boxes. And that's why we're here today. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Liu.
Thank you, Dawn. I'm a physician and OBGYN who has practiced here in Arizona for over 40 years, as well as across the nation and world. As such, I know the importance of using clinically and medically accurate language when talking about reproductive health, including abortion. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, or ACOG, is a nonpartisan group of more than 60,000 OBGYNs throughout this country, and it's also a respected resource of expertise and professional standards. It says that when speaking about abortion, we must use language that is medically appropriate, clinically accurate, and without bias. If we don't adhere to medically accurate terms, we allow partisan, political, and undefined rhetoric to cause confusion and possibly spread misinformation, which does not lead to quality, patient-centered healthcare. The medically accurate and impartial term in this situation is fetus. The other term, approved by the Legislative Council, has no medical definition or usage and is therefore entirely politicized and biased, not impartial, and not rooted in accepted medical standards. Arizona voters have a right to review standard health care when they consider how to vote in November, not the rhetoric embraced by anti-abortion advocates. Again, per ACOG, centering the language on a future state of a pregnancy is medically inaccurate. As long as the pregnancy continues, the language should reflect the current state of the pregnancy. When it comes to voters making decisions about the healthcare procedures they have access to, it's as important that the information they have when making those electoral decisions is as impartial and accurate as the information they get from their healthcare providers. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Liu.